Hey everybody, today we are talking about Spring Snow by Yukio Mishima. Spring Snow is a story that is about a boy and a girl, but it's a lot more than just that. They are two childhood friends, I guess you could say. They grew up kind of together because his dad had the boy spend a lot of time at the girl's home, and so they grew up and he kind of learned things from that family rather than his own family, and so they spent a lot of time together. And then as they got older, they started not really hanging out anymore and kind of distanced themselves from each other, and that is kind of where our story is mostly revolved around, is them as like 18 years old. However, the girl she's actually older than he, and so that makes it a little interesting because he's like 2-3 years younger than her. This is a love story, but again, it's not your typical love story because there's a lot of twists and turns and things that make it more complicated than just your typical love story. And it is set in the early 1900s, and so that also separates it from the way love stories are now, with all of the references to technology and having phones and social media and all that present in a lot of the modern day love stories that we have. None of that is going to be present in this story, so that also separates it from being similar to now. Something to note from this book is this is part of a tetralogy, and that means there are 3 other books that go along with this that follow the main character, as well as his friend Honda. And Kiyoaki is our main dude in this. Satoko is the girl, that young woman that Kiyoaki is troubled with his feelings by. He's not sure, does he love her, does he hate her, is he annoyed by her? Because at the beginning of the book it was definitely more like, I am very annoyed with this person kind of a situation, or like rolling eyes when anyone ever brings up her beauty and all that stuff. And he is apparently a beauty as well. He's very good looking and was complimented on his looks even when he was a teenage, like 13. And so that kind of followed him. He's also part of like a rich family, and so there's like, his dad has a lot of power in certain matters, and so does Satoko's, but their reign has kind of like dwindled a little bit, and so they are trying to find, like, there's a matchmaker trying to find her a suitable partner that could also boost their family name a little more as well. But she keeps refusing to marry any of the suitors that they bring her, and that's because she is kind of like holding out for Kiyoaki, but Kiyoaki's very stubborn and acts like he doesn't care, and then realizes, wait, do I actually care? And so it's that kind of like teenage angst that we get in Kiyoaki's character. A big theme of this book is reincarnation. Though no reincarnation actually occurs in this book, it is a big theme of discussion with his friend Honda and a couple of other friends who are princes that are visiting from another country, and they get in a discussion with Honda as well on a separate occasion about reincarnation and what it would be like. And they have conversations of like, well, would you remember everything, or would you be starting completely brand new and not even know anything? And what would be the benefit of that? Wouldn't it be better to remember things? Or what would be the benefit of being reincarnated if you did know that you were already here before? Could you really learn from that? Or like, there's all these ideas going around about it, and that is something that is supposed to be what we will see in the other 3 books. That will be like a reoccurring theme in all of these books. I've only read this one, of course, and so I'm having trouble like finding the other ones on like a library app, or I'm gonna have to see if maybe I can find them at a shop or something, or somehow to find the other copies that continue this story on, so then I can do another review that relates back to this, so that we can really see this reincarnation theme continuing on and where it really is going to take us. I did find that whole idea of reincarnation very interesting, and the way that Honda's perspective was on it, I was leaning more towards like his ideas that I enjoyed, thinking about being, if this was something that really happened, that's how I would want it to go. Another thing that I really felt when I was reading this was the similarities kind of to Romeo and Juliet. Now, of course, Romeo and Juliet is a lot more like tragic and sad, and like this one has some of those elements as well, but the miscommunication that happens in Romeo and Juliet is so severe, and there is some miscommunication that happens in this one, but really the main part that I think is similar is that eventually Satoko does get an offer of marriage that she accepts, because she thinks that Kiyoaki is just never gonna decide to be with her and make that kind of an arrangement happen. And so she just decides to agree. And so there's like a contract and like all these things about like, okay, this is like official business, because the person she's marrying is like higher up in the ladder of success and popularity, and like I'm pretty sure he's also a prince. And so this suddenly makes Kiyoaki realize his love for her, and so they start meeting in secret. And the like servant caretaker slash something like that of Satoko, she helps them have secret meeting places, even though she knows like, oh, she could get in so much trouble for this, and so could they, and this is like, she was kind of getting like blackmailed into doing it, and she just felt kind of like stuck, and so she was doing this, letting them meet together, and no one else could know because it would like be really bad for her Satoko's family, and Kiyoaki would get in a lot of trouble too, and so it all had to be hush hush, secretly done, and with secret meetings. And so that part made me think a lot of Romeo and Juliet, where they really wanted to be with each other, but they couldn't do it because their families didn't like each other. So different reasons for the secrecy, but still secrecy nonetheless. And I really loved Romeo and Juliet, like the old original movie of it, and the Shakespeare, just reading it in high school, I was just like, I just really enjoyed that story. I just really liked the whole idea of them not wanting to stop each other from seeing each other, like no matter what their parents thought or no matter what their families said, because they just loved each other so much. And I don't know, I just really just liked that a lot in high school. So reading this, I was like, ooh, I like this too, because it is kind of making me think of that, where you have this like forbidden love kind of a situation. So if you like Romeo and Juliet, again, it's not that similar to Romeo and Juliet, aside from basically what I told you, but that's part of the reasons why I like this. I will say, this is like a Japanese classic, that's what it's considered, and that made it written, a lot differently than the things we read now. It's like the style of his writing and stuff, it's complex, and sometimes I was like rereading sentences because I wasn't sure if I was fully grasping what they were saying, because there's just a lot of speech words like that are used that we don't say in regular day speech as much anymore, and so there's not going to be any like the kind of slang and stuff that we use and all those things. It was just, I was going into something that I was like, oh, am I going to be able to enjoy this the way it's written, or am I going to have to look up a lot of things? Yeah, I just still enjoyed it very much. It didn't keep me from reading it. It was a good challenge, because a lot of the stuff that I have been reading, it's not like this. It's not set and written from such a long time ago in the 1900s. It's like a lot of stuff I'm reading is from like the 2010s and above, is like a lot of stuff that I've been reading lately. And so having that contrast of writing style, I think, is important to do sometimes, and to go out of your comfort zone and read something that's a little different for what you're used to reading. And that's kind of what this was for me. And I'm glad that I continue to read it, and it does intrigue me to want to read more to see where this goes from here, because I was expecting there to be, because on the back it like talks about reincarnation and all that stuff, but then, and even though it was in here, there wasn't anyone actually reincarnated in this book. And so I was like, oh. But I'm realizing like it's because it's the first of 4 books, and for me to really get the full circle picture of what it's referencing on the back is if I read the other ones. So wish me luck on trying to find the other 3. And then I will get back to you on, you'll see if I do a review on the next ones or not. The tetralogy is called The Sea of Fertility, and one of them is like Runaway Horses. I can't remember if that's the next one after this. I think that one might be the last one. So I just need to find the next one. The next one is, oh, it is Runaway Horses. Okay, so I need to read that one next, and then there's the 2 other ones to see if I can find them, so that I can really see what the author had in mind when he was writing this. Because yeah, I think it is great on its own, and I don't necessarily have to read the rest, but I think it'll make everything make more sense and be more meaningful, and this one will probably have more meaning if I do read the other ones. I feel like that, yeah, if you just start something, you should finish it if you want the full experience. So kind of like with Before the Coffee Gets Cold, you could just read one of those and be done, but like, you're missing out on links between the books that are there if you stop with just reading one and stuff like that. So yeah, anyways, so that's Spring Snow by Yukio Mishima. Let me know if you've read it before and what your thoughts are on it, or if it sounds intriguing to you if you haven't, and if you think you might. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, but of course that's totally optional. You don't have to if you don't want to. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.